Welcome to the Lunch and Learn webinar recap. This time I'll be taking you through an intro to the HomeGauge Web Report Writer. So HomeGauge Web Writer has two different versions. The main version that has all the capabilities is going to be through your internet browser. And right here, I've just gone to homegauge.com and I've logged into my Home Inspector dashboard. And then when I click on Web Writer right here, a second tab opens up in my browser, and now I'm looking at the Web Report Writer tool. This is really great because you can go to any device that you have, whether that be a Mac computer, a Windows computer, Linux computer, you can go on a Chromebook, you can also go on any mobile device through your browser. So you can go on a tablet, Android or iOS, you can go on an Android or iOS phone through your browser and access Web Writer. I'm just going to go over to my phone here and I'm just opening up Google Chrome. So I just click on that and I sign in to my HomeGauge dashboard on my Android phone. And I can just tap on Web Writer and it takes me to the Web Report Writer through my browser of my phone. So that's the first version of Web Writer, and it's the main one that's got all the functionality, and I like to refer to it as the browser version. Again, you can access it on any device. You do have to have an internet connection, so that's the one thing with the browser version. But we all know that you go out there in the field and you don't want to have an internet connection required. So there is also an app. The app goes on a mobile device, so a tablet or a phone, and it works offline. So you can go to Google Play Store or the iOS App Store and download HomeGauge Web Writer. So on this Android phone over here, I have it and it's showing right here. So that is the app that I downloaded. And if I click on that, I don't have to be connected to the internet in order to complete a whole report. There are some things where I do need to be connected to the internet, when it's done. Kind of goes without saying, after I'm done with the report, how do I get it to my clients? Of course, I need to be connected to the internet in order to publish and send, because you need the internet to send things through the internet. So there are a few other things that I'll point out here in a second that the app doesn't have, but you do notice that the app has this button up here called Refresh Data, and the browser version does not have that. So that's a big differentiator. If you hit Refresh Data, it will sync anything that is either on your browser version or sync anything that might be on your phone so that they match. I'll show right now the difference on the browser. You'll notice some buttons over here that you won't see on the app. Up here, we're kind of like on the same page. And you'll see inspections. And then over here, there's a hamburger menu on the app. And if I click on that, you'll see that the library is there. There's an about and then a link to the inspector dashboard. But on the browser version, we've got the library. We also have templates and report design. There's not an about. So quickly, I'm just going to show you the about on the app is there as like a fail safe. You probably won't really go to it very often, but if you need to, it's just got some information about the version you're on. If you click on help, there's ways that you can go here to your backups. If I go over here, I've got some more information. And then the most handy one that I find is the media tab here. So this will just show all the media photos and things that you've taken on this app. So it's just kind of a fail safe. I'll also point out that the library is accessible here, but I'm going to demonstrate it on the browser version over here. I'll click on library, and the library is a place where you can go if you want to just simply work on adding comments, adding descriptions, adding disclaimers. Some people don't want to be in a report when they're doing this kind of stuff. Of course, out in the field or you are working on a report, you can totally, while in the report, add comments and things like that. But sometimes people just want to have an office day and they just want to get right into their library and start customizing things. So if I click on library, I'll first go over here to property overview area. So you've got descriptions and disclaimers. If I click on descriptions, this side bar opens up where I can add new descriptions, and these are general property descriptions. I can delete or modify the ones that come stock with the library. I'm going to click on this tab right here just to show you what this looks like. So if I'm in general information, this is a version of a report, a completed report that I just wanted to show you where it shows up. So this is a web writer report, and this is where the general information shows. So all those different things will show here. I'm going to go back to web writer, and yeah, you can just kind of modify that super easy by just hitting delete. If you want to add more things to some of these selections, you can hit edit. And like here, I've got number of stories. Maybe I want to add 4. Just click add option, type in 4. The kicker is you have to click this orange arrow here in order to kind of get it added. There's also options to set default values here. So if 9 times out of 10, every report you do, it's always 2-story, you can save yourself a click and set a default value. To add a description, you just click add description, give it a name. There's different types of fields that you can do. You can do free text, a yes, no toggle. You can have a list with multiple answers if you'd like, or a number. I'm going to hit cancel there. So that's pretty self-explanatory. And all the instructions that I'm showing right now, it's all going to be repeated when you're actually in a report. So if you're in a report and you need to add a description on the fly, the instructions are the same. And that goes if you're going to be on the app or on the browser version. So for disclaimers, it's pretty easy. These are like your standards of practice. They will actually show as scope of inspection. So I'll go to the completed report here. And as I kind of scroll down past the summary, there's this area that says scope of inspection. So I'll go back to the actual report writer. And these are all the disclaimers that kind of come stock with HomeGauge when you first use it. I encourage everybody to go here and check out all the disclaimer comments. And if you're not going to use them, delete them. There's a lot of them, and there's no reason why anybody should see all this if they don't apply to you. Maybe you like the comment, but you want to add more to it. You can click edit. It's pretty easy to do and pretty self-explanatory, I think. To create a new disclaimer, I'm going to go to create new disclaimer, and I've copied my text, and I'm just going to copy and paste it right there. I'm going to hit save. All right, so that's kind of disclaimers. Next, I'll show you how to add descriptions and comments and disclaimers for the other parts of the inspection report. So everything's organized by system. And if you click on a system, it drops down and reveals all the inspection items within that system. Here we've got appliances, and I've got cooktop. The top disclaimer right here is a system-wide disclaimer. I can click on it. It's the same process as we just went over. I can, create a new one. I can use or modify or delete existing disclaimers that are part of the library. At the item level, so for example, for cooktop, these 3 icons over here are clickable. This first one that has the number 3, that just means there are 3 descriptions for cooktop. I can click on the 3 there, and it shows the 3 descriptions for cooktop. Delete these, you can edit them, you can add new ones here if you need to. It works exactly the same as the descriptions I showed you for the property overview. So it's pretty easy to kind of catch on. For cooktop over here, we've got a 10. That's indicating there's 10 comments. So that's like a little comment bubble. 10 comments that are categorized with cooktop. So I'll click on that. And here are all my comments for cooktop. You'll notice there's little icons next to them. So every time any of these comments gets used, there's a little colored icon that goes into the report automatically. We've got a create new, so you can create a brand new comment for cooktop. You can also search for your comments really easily. So I'm going to say not working, not working. I type in not working and these comments show up. This right here is just the description. So this first sentence is just the description sentence. And as I click show details, it reveals the full comment. It shows suggested actions and information. I can remove this comment from my library if I don't like it. I can add a diagram, which is a new feature, and I'll show you that in a minute. Or I can edit the comment. If I click edit comment, it will show you what it's like to have a comment in HomeGauge Web Writer. And this is what it would look like if you're adding a comment brand new as well. This top part is the description. It has an asterisk next to it, so it is required to be filled out. The description is special because it shows up on the summary. These other parts don't show up on the summary, so I just wanted to point that out. So I'm going to quickly go over to my example report here. And I'm going to the summary, and you'll notice here, the summary is a true summary. It's not just repeating the whole comment and pictures. And apparently the agents and the buyers like this because it's not super alarming and it's easy to digest. The summary will also put things in order depending on how important they are. So automatically, comments that are safety comments will show up at the top and it'll just kind of automatically group everything for you, which is super nice. For example, right here, we've got this electric service panel. This is the one-liner description that shows. And if I click on this hyperlink, it takes me to the full comment and the photos. So I'm back at the web writer and I just wanted to illustrate how the comments kind of work with the summary. So I've got the description that you're required to fill out. The status here, which helps HomeGauge put it in order of importance and also gives it a colored icon. So you can choose from any of these statuses. These boxes down here, you don't have to fill out if you don't want. So you can leave it blank and just have something in the description if you like. That is totally up to you. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of that. So that's how you work with comments. And then finally, the hand icon has a 2 next to it. If I click on that, this is going to be an item-wide disclaimer. So think of it as limitation statements specifically for cooktop. Maybe you could put in an item-wide disclaimer there or create a new one. So the library has a new feature just released, but I'm going to show you how it works because it's really cool. So over here, you've got systems and then you also have diagrams. I'm going to click on diagrams, and this is a way that you can take a drawing and a diagram about certain parts of the home. HomeGauge, we also sell Mr. Fix-It diagrams. It's a bunch of hundreds of different diagrams in color and black and white, even in Spanish, I believe. And you can add these to add more detail and information to people who are not as informed as you are. So when a home buyer reads a report, you might know what all these things mean, and they might be scratching their head like, what the hell are they talking about? So popping in a diagram often gives them more information. So for diagrams, you'd start off here and then just click add diagrams. I happen to have over here, Mr. Fix-It. I've got a couple of these Mr. Fix-It drawings. I'm going to add one right here, and I'm going to click open. And you can add a bunch of diagrams, and they're always going to stay in your web writer system, in your library. I'll go over to systems now, and I can link that to a comment so that automatically whenever I add that comment, it pops that diagram in and makes my report look cool and gives my home buyer agent a little bit more information. So I'm going to go to landscaping and hardscaping, grading and drainage to find my comment. I'll click on the 3 here. And what I'll do is I'll go to my comment. I see it right here. The soil level of the home is too high. And down here, I've got some options. I'll click the Add Diagram option. I'll select my picture and then select Done. And then I'll select Done one more time. And there you go, it's linked. So next time it will move that picture into the report for me. If I go back to that number 3, you'll see now I have a little icon that shows that I've got one picture kind of linked to this comment. You can get diagrams from the internet, and they can be pictures too. Sometimes people will put, like, let's say you're maybe an RV inspector and you are suggesting that somebody purchase some weird kind of obscure part that most people don't know what it looks like. And you have a picture. It doesn't have to be a drawing. It can be any kind of JPEG. Check that new feature out. I'll link, or maybe Carla could link the Mr. Fix-It diagram in purchasing link in the chat. I meant to, and it's got so many different things. I'm going to move on here to templates, and I'm just going to touch on templates pretty briefly. Templates over here is an area where you can go into the main template that you're already using just by clicking on that. And you go in and modify the structure and things like that of the template, or you can add a new one. So it's pretty easy to add a new one. You just click Add New, and I can call this my condo template. And I can either create from the starter template. The starter template is like the base template that HomeGauge gave you as soon as you began using it with WebWriter. Or I can copy an existing. So let's say maybe I'll copy my existing one and I'll select Add. Now I have a condo template. It's not my default. This one is my default. You can always go to the 3 dots to set something as a default or to rename it. I'll pop into condo just to demonstrate a few things that you can do. So I'll go to descriptions. The sidebar pops out. You know, maybe for condos, you're not trying to have, you can hide a bunch of descriptions there. Disclaimers, same thing. You might not want to look at all this, so you can hide all the disclaimers that you would never use for condos, for instance. You can organize the different systems as well by clicking Reorder Systems. And you can basically just click on the 3 lines and you can drag and drop. And when you're in a system, if you, let's say we're in appliances and we open that up, you can multi-select. So let's say I want to select all the items in appliances. And for this template, every time I open it, I want everything to show as not applicable. So I can select all of these, and then down at the bottom, I can change the status. And sometimes this helps people save time for efficiency. We have a power user that does this with all of his templates. He'll go in and select everything. And in the template, he'll go down to status and choose not applicable. And what that does, just imagine that it's excluded by default. So every time you open up the template, you see it. You as the inspector see it, but you don't have to, if something is not part of your inspection and this home didn't have a garbage disposal or a washer and a dryer, you don't actually have to go in and remove it. It already isn't showing. So that's kind of one thing that some people will do. They'll either hit so everything shows as not applicable, or maybe they like to show everything to show as checked off and satisfactory. So that's one thing that you can do in templates. I've done it here. Everything shows as NA. Another thing that you can do is you can remove all the default locations. WebWriter will have these little words that describe different locations. They're not everywhere. It's just some specific ones that are 99% of the time going to be true. You can remove those because a lot of people I know like to have a location at the comment level rather than the item level. So if something is going on with the window in a bedroom, they're not really going to put windows and give windows the location for bedroom. They're going to add it into the comment or maybe below the picture describing that. So just depending on how you like to do things, you can, if you don't want to use these location preloaded tags, you can remove them. I'm going to go here and I'm going to do remove location. So that's one thing you can do there. You can also go in and add an item. So under appliances, if I wanted to add another item, I could go here, click on item type. There's a lot of different items and I could select one because it's already there, maybe standalone freezer. Maybe I need to add that. I can also add another item that isn't listed here. So I can go to item type and maybe choose the option of other appliance. So I can go to other appliance and maybe rename it. And I can say wine cooler. And I'll click add. And now we've got a freezer and a wine cooler. These two are set as not tested. So I want to actually change them back to not applicable. Just so everybody knows, if you're not aware, not tested is a status that item's still going to appear on your report. So, just when you're reviewing things, if you see things with the gray circle and the line and it says not tested, a lot of times you have to give a reason of why it's not tested. And you might actually be intending on excluding it. And if that is the situation, then you'll want to just switch it to NA. So that's how you do a few things with the template. There's not tons of more explanation that I really need to give here other than the 3 dots gives you options to delete or rename items or duplicate. We do have a lot of stuff coming down the pipeline for templates soon, so look forward to that. But I'm also going to go into report design. This is something only available on the browser, and it is a new feature, and it's really exciting. So if you click on report design, we know you want to stand out from the rest. So we allow you to choose from 6 new cover page designs, and you can also select a different color that might coordinate with your logo. It's pretty easy to do. You just click on the cover page design you want to use. I selected this one here. And I chose blue. I'm actually going to choose the deeper blue down here. You can also change the title of the report. So maybe you don't want it to say inspection report. Maybe you want it to say something else. We leave that up to you. You can do that. You can also click preview and it will give you a preview of what that would look like. But once you've made your selection, any report that you publish will have that new cover page. Okay. I wanted to point out a few other things that are on the browser side that are not on the app before we move on to writing a report. So one thing is when you're in a report, there are a couple of different functions that you won't see. So the big one would be publish. If you're on the app and you're in a report, I'm going to go over here to my app. Choose the same inspection. You'll notice it's got the refresh data. So any changes that I'm going to make, I can hit refresh data and it will sync everything. But over here, I've got preview and publish. So the app does not, you can't do a preview on the app. But if you really are on a mobile device and you really want to get a preview or you really want to publish right then and there, if you do have a data connection, you can. So I'm just going to show you, I've got the preview here on the browser version. Over here, I'm in the app and I don't have that button. What you would do is you hit refresh data. So it pulls in any of the work that you've done on the app and syncs it to the browser. And then what you would do is you would close out of your app, open up your internet browser, and you might already still be in HomeGauge.com, like right at that page. If you're not, you just go to HomeGauge.com and log in and go to Web Writer. And now you can go to the report. All the information from the app is there, and you can hit preview. There you go. You can do all the functions here. So if you need to, if you're on an iPad and you wanted to preview on the iPad and show your buyer and take them through a little presentation, you could do that, and that's how you would do it on your app. And then open up your browser, open up the report, and you can hit preview. And then you can also publish from here. Another new feature that is not available on the app is the forms feature. So again, what I did, because Maybe I'm somebody who wants to use forms, but I use the app out in the field for most of my inspection. I hit sync. I open up my Google Chrome here and I go to WebWriter on the browser through my mobile device, and I can go to Forms and I can use it. Forms, if we have anybody from Florida here or anybody who does pest inspections, we got Mark over from Florida, awesome. Don, excellent. We tend to have a lot of people from Florida, and Florida folks do insurance inspections, and it's required to go in a specific format of a PDF required by insurance companies. People who do NPMA 33 forms for pest and termite inspections, it's a specific set form that you have to use. Over here, you can is your forms section, and if you wanted to add a form, basically just click add, and it gets added to that report. We've got a bunch of them here, and you can go in and you can customize and remove all the ones that don't apply to you. We have a lot of state-specific ones. So if you're not from Florida, you can erase all the Florida ones. You can use it on the browser version, and you just click into it and basically just fill out. It's like a web form. You can fill it out. You can add pictures, things like that. All right, so I'm going to go back, and that's just like the basic tour of the browser version and trying to illustrate the difference between the browser version and the dedicated app that works offline. Now we'll get into how to write a report with HomeGauge. So with HomeGauge, first and foremost, the best practice is always to go to your HomeGauge dashboard, go to appointments, and start your report by booking an appointment on the calendar. This is awesome because you get the power of the automated features within the calendar. You can add a pre-inspection agreement that can be signed electronically online by your clients. You can add an invoice, and people can pay securely online if you have your HomeGauge payments set up. HomeGauge Payments is our integrated in-house credit card processing. That's super awesome. And direct deposits to your bank and all that jazz. We also send out emails if you start the report by booking an appointment here. So all this, I'm not going to get into the details, but I'm going to put a link to our upcoming Lunch and Learn in the chat. I've got one coming up, so click on that and you'll see registration links for setting up the appointments and also how to set up public scheduling so people can see you online and actually book appointments online. I have created an appointment here ahead of time, and what I'll do in order to push all this information to begin a report in WebWriter, I'll click on the appointment, and I have this little menu that pops out, and I'm going to click on this plus sign, and if I hover over it, it says Create Web Inspection. When I click on that, if you have multiple templates, which now I do because I created that condo one, it will give me a choice of like, hey, which template do you want to use for this inspection? And I'll hit continue. Another tab in my browser opens up, and it opens up with the new report open in WebWriter. So I've got my new report open here, and I can go ahead and start filling things out, night before. Sometimes people do that. I can, if I wanted to use the app, which I do recommend, I would go over to my HomeGauge app, open it up, and I would click refresh data. And that basically will move that report to my app for me. So you can see that I've got my WebStar code ready to go. And I recommend doing all this stuff the night before. So that's the first way to start a report in WebWriter. The second way is to just click Add Inspection right here. This is the way that, I guess, if you are just testing things out, experimenting, wanting to get in there and not want to go through the whole process of creating an appointment, it's not a paid inspection, that kind of thing. This is your fast track. So you can go to Add Inspection, fill out, name, address, that kind of stuff, and then go to the bottom and you would hit Save. Once you do that, you'll see the report populate similar like this, and then you would just click refresh data to move it to your app, and then click on it to continue the inspection. The app also has an option to add an inspection to in the same way. All right, so those are the two ways to start reports. We'll go here and we'll just jump into this WebStar Cove. first and foremost, I'll try to follow along when I can on my mobile device here on the app. You'll want to go in and take a cover photo picture. So this icon right here with the pencil on the browser, if I click on that, it will open up a side column where you'll have some options like add media. And it just basically allows you to navigate around through your file explorer. And I have a collection of photos that I call webinar right here. So I could add a cover photo like that. Or I could also, and then over here, it's kind of the same thing, but you can take a picture. So I can click, you'll notice up here, there's this tiny little pencil icon that kind of gets lost a little bit. Click on that and you can click add media. If you're on Android, it looks like this. iOS looks a little bit different, but I have confidence that you can figure it out. It's pretty intuitive. You'll have similar options. So I can take a photo. You have to make sure your permissions are good. So, there I am. And I can add my photo of my face. Or I can go in, I can add media. And I have some photos that I already took of a house through my normal device's camera. All right, so I'm going to switch my photo here. There's a little bit of a lag when I'm showing the mobile device. As you can see, there's a slight lag. So we're going to go in. That's just so silly. I can't believe I did that. We're going to go in. We're going to sync to cloud. And you'll notice as I sync to cloud, it will change back to this one right here. So everything's the same. But that's how you add photos on the browser version and the mobile version. After that, we're going to scroll down, and this area called Property Condition Summary. You can use this if you like. If you don't fill it out, no worries. Basically like a general statement about the house. You might not feel like you can write anything in the beginning of an inspection, but maybe at the end you can populate something about the house that's super general. Some people will use it for just a friendly note to the home buyer, just saying, hey, I'm glad to do your inspection. Things were looking good. Please call me if you need anything, something like that. As I'll scroll down a little bit more, you've got the disclaimers here. We've got your standards of practice and things like that. You can click add disclaimers and I can toggle on anything that I need, or I can create a new one. I'll hit done. And then it works the same on mobile. And then I can hit refresh and everything syncs. So right now, the only time that internet is needed is when I hit refresh. And typically, if you're out on an inspection, you're not trying to match it up with a browser like I am when I'm demonstrating. So you're good to go until you feel like you want to sync something to the browser. The description area, you can fill out all the different things here. I had some stuff selected to show up as default already on this. So you see where it says occupied, number of stories is 2. Pretty easy to kind of fill these things out. On the mobile version, it flows really nicely as well. You can multi-select. And it's pretty self-explanatory, I think. If you need to add things, maybe there's a description that you don't need, or maybe you have to add one, just hit edit. And this should look familiar because we already went over how to use it in the library, but it works the same, so you can always add and edit on the fly. And then down at the bottom is the home tour area, and this is a cool spot where you can add complementary photos. So I can go here to add media. I can go to add media again, take a bunch of photos, or for speed, if I was an inspector and I first got to a house, I might just use the Android device's camera, just take all my pictures and then go to select media. Oh, you just do a long press. And then hit select, and it should take a minute, but they'll all drop in. And I feel like that's a little bit faster if you know you're taking a bunch of pictures and you want to bulk add them. So they're all selected, and I'll hit done. Now they're added to my home tour section here, and we can move on. Quickly, I'll just show you the home tour part. So on the browser version, I have this sample report, and I wanted to show you where those pictures show up. All the way at the bottom here where it says home tour, I can navigate to that. They all kind of show in a collection at the bottom, and I can put labels too at the bottom. So I'll go into here, and if I wanted to add any descriptors at the bottom, I can just tap on the picture, and I can add a caption like that. I can also annotate and do different things that you would expect on a mobile device, which is really nice. So I can do all the annotations, add a caption, and I can move on. The next item that we'll go into is going into systems. So we'll go over just the basics on how to add a disclaimer, fill out some descriptions, and add pictures and comments. So if we're in landscaping and hardscaping, I can add a system-wide disclaimer pretty easily by doing add disclaimer. Toggle it on. I can create a new one really easily. Let's say that I want to go into drainage and grading. I can tap on that. I don't have any descriptions that I'm calling out, but if I wanted to, I could go ahead and add descriptions. I do have a comment that I want to use. I can go to add comment, toggle on this one, and select done. We'll say that this doesn't have positive grade. I can add a photo, a video, and then I can also go to upload, which takes me to the pictures or videos that were already on the device. And then the one that says assign, that is going to take you to your already existing pictures that you have in your gallery. So I can navigate using the bottom here and click next, which goes to the next item. This one's a driveway. I can tap the material and get all my different options. If I add a comment, it will change this part right here to whatever the severity of the comment, but maybe I don't have anything wrong with the driveway and it's good. You got to change that not tested there to satisfactory. So there's a couple ways you can change it. If you want, you can do it right here. Just tap on that and do satisfactory. Or I can always hit the arrow and go back to all my options. And if I wanted to, I can, let's say that maybe I was doing several of these are just satisfactory and I'm not adding comments. I can go and check a few of them and I can say, okay, that was good, that was good, this was good, and this was good. I can go down to the status. I can say all these are satisfactory and just save myself a little bit of time. After that, I can also maybe these ones, like there wasn't a landscape feature, there wasn't a retaining wall. I can either go to the three dots and choose delete, or I can go to status and just basically exclude them and do not applicable. All right, so that is how you go about adding a picture to a comment and adding a comment, adding a disclaimer, adding some description items, and how you navigate. So you can either pop around using systems like this, or you can a room component, like let's say we're in Windows and we're filling out the different type of window descriptions. We add our comment. We'll say the window is fogging and sweating. We'll hit done. I can go down here where it says take photo and I can snap some photos, or I can select upload and find some photos that are already in my library, like this one, that one. So I've got a couple different photos here. One thing that I have noticed, sometimes people will feel the need to duplicate window because they are trying to describe windows in different locations and they're trying to add a location. I find you can do that, but I think it's less steps if you just go to window, add your comment that applies to all the windows. All of them have the same issue. And then what you can do is just go down to the specific window and you can give it the location there. You can say, bedroom 1. And then you can go to the next window. You can say bedroom 2. And that's just like something that I've noticed that might help with the efficiencies. And then it creates a smaller report. You're not duplicating the whole window 1, window 2, window 3. You're just kind of like all windows together. We've got this one comment about fogging and sweating, and 2 windows have that issue and they're noted. But maybe there's another thing going on with windows, and you just pop it all under the one Windows item, and it just creates a more of a condensed report. So we'll say that, maybe we have another window that has a sash that's damaged. We'll add that, and we'll take a photo, and that's our damaged sash window there. And we'll go in and just add a location right there, right below it. I can also go in and annotate if I felt like it, add a circle or a line or text on top of the photo. So I'll go over here. Now that I'm done adding things, I can click Sync to Cloud, and it's going to sync all my information. So I can go ahead and preview if I want, or I can publish. All right, so everything's synced. So that's the part where you do need to be connected to the internet. So I've refreshed my data. I'm going to go to my refresh button up here just to make sure everything's synced appropriately. And now I can do my preview, and that works just fine. Got my fancy dancy new cover page showing, so you can see that. Got my 2 concerns here. And so I didn't fill out tons here because we're just kind of getting an introduction. You can publish. So we'll go ahead and maybe go through the steps to publish because we're kind of at time. So I'll go to publish, and I presented with this little pop-up. Do you want to publish to the dashboard? And yes, of course you do. Once you click publish, it's working on it right now. It might not be there quite yet, but it's pretty quick. You'll want to click View Report if you want to actually email it at that time. So click View Report, and it takes you back over to your inspector dashboard where you've got your different reports. I've got my report here, and because I started it with an appointment, it says, the agreement's not signed. It shows the amount due. If I click this plus sign, it expands to show me my agreement document here and my report document here. What I need to do, because I used appointments to start the report, all I need to do is just click where it says send emails. I click the hyperlink for inspection report. I'll point something out. If you did not use appointments to start your report, you're going to have to take an extra step. So if you just hit add inspection, you're not going to have client or agent information down here, and you'll have to use this plus user to add your customer. I'll just kind of show you real quick what that's like. You can search for an existing customer if you've been using HomeGauge and it's a repeat, or if you need to add a brand new one, you click add new customer, and then you hit continue. I use Carla as my new customer, and it's just notifying me that she's used HomeGauge for home inspections before. And then I kind of scroll down and I can verify that everything looks good. I'll set the permissions right here where I'll say, okay, I want her to view the inspection report and the agreement, and I'll do add contact to report. So that is the workflow. If you did not use the appointment manager, you have to actually, once you publish, you got to go in and click that plus user button to get your client and their email, your agent and their email added. And then after that, you can go here and click send emails. Mine, I am sending a little bit differently because I use the appointment manager and then I added another customer. But basically, once you get to the send email notifications page, the main thing you want to do is just make sure everybody that needs to get an email has a check next to their email. If there's a second email there and you don't recognize it, you don't need to put a check next to the second email. Just do the one that you were given. And then over on the right-hand side where it says view and forward, this is where you just say, okay, Susie, I want her to view, and I want her to be able to forward the report if she needs to. Carla, I want her to be able to have the report and the agreement. This one right here, this is the agent account. It's kind of black and it has a little suit next to it. That one, they don't need to see the agreement, so I'm just leaving it empty. And then after that, I just hit send emails. And there we go. All right, so that's the nitty gritty with the HomeGauge Web Report Writer. I know that we are right at 104. All right, everybody, thanks for joining. Have a great Thursday. Good luck with your inspections. I hope they're all easy breezy.